With us, we have from FDF, we have Dr. Kelsey Ruppel, Dr. Gregory Hanley. From Hi Rasmus, we have Nikolai Hendrickson. He's the CEO and founder. And then I'm Rachel Dowse. I'm a BCBA in Nashville, Tennessee with Hi Rasmus. So let's get started. Dr. Hanley, would you like to introduce and tell us a little bit about FTF and who you all are?
Thank you, Rachel. And FTF is a training and consulting company. We are 25 BCBA strongs, most of whom have doctoral degrees and are also behavior analysts. Some of us are current researchers, maybe former researchers, and I guess our collective commitment is to safer, more humane, and more socially meaningful outcomes from those safe and humane practices. And so that's what we're generally coaching people on. Not only do we do assessment treatment of existing problem behavior, but we try to help people with prevention curriculums, one of which is called the preschool life skills curriculum. But we also have a home-based, parent-delivered, BCBA supported prevention program for problem behavior, and that's called Balance, as many people know. And because of our linkage with Hi Rasmus, it is widely accessible. But it's not just more accessible because of Hi Rasmus, it's more functional because the Hi Rasmus platform provides this opportunity for interaction that Nikolai will obviously get into that is well beyond the scope of what we had when we first developed this curriculum together, Dr. Ruppel and I. But let's be clear, the main mission of the Balance program is indeed to prevent the development of severe problem behavior for children at risk for developing severe behavior. And those children are often those on the autism spectrum, but there are other disabilities, intellectual disabilities, that puts a risk factor in place for severe behavior, and the Balance program is appropriate under those conditions as well. A lot of the mission is to restore balance in the relationship between parent and child. And so with the Balance program, it recognizes that parents of children on the autism spectrum, especially parents of newly diagnosed children with autism, struggle to find that balance. And so what the Balance program attempts to do is through a shaping process, it tries to allow parents eventually, not initially, but eventually, to hold their child to high expectations, to expect them to communicate, to tolerate ambiguity and the disappointment of life, and ultimately cooperate when a parent asks you to do something, to simply do it. And if unclear on what to do, to check in with the parent to get that clarity and move forward. On the other hand, the Balance program allows the child with autism to deeply examine their interests. It doesn't run away from restricted interests. It allows the child to be who they are. It allows the child to get damn good at what they want to be good at. And so that's what we mean by balance. There's time for the child to lead and to have someone to follow them. And in this instance, it's the parent to be completely present and available for the child and to show that appreciation. On the other hand, there's a time and a place where that play needs to stop, where things are going to be different than what the child expects or perhaps prefers, and there's still an obligation for cooperation under those conditions. And so this Balance program progressively brings that relationship to that point where both parents and child have an opportunity to lead across the day.
Great. That's a wonderful intro, Greg. Thank you.
Thanks,
Now, Nikolai is going to introduce Hi Rasmus and tell us briefly what Hi Rasmus is and what we do.
So yeah, I'm Nikolai Hendrickson. So, but I also have a kid, Rasmus, who the company is named after, who's 10 years old now, and he was on the spectrum. And we knew that from he was very, very small. He was nonverbal until age 6 or something like that. And we lived in a place where services were very, very scarce. So it was really difficult to get access to high quality services for our family and for him. And that was one thing that was difficult when he was small, but when he came into school age, that just turned more and more difficult because all these things that Balance, for example, addresses were not addressed in his case. So we ended up literally traveling thousands of miles to get services for him, to get parent training, to get all these things. And I mean, that was really difficult. So that's why I set off the mission with Hi Rasmus to help the people who help people like my son and other kids with autism. So we built Hi Rasmus as a data collection platform that was telehealth enabled from the very beginning, and then started the collaboration with FTF to apply balance as one of the first programs that we added to the platform to have really, really high quality parent training content. So
and now I'm going to throw it to Kelsey. I know that Greg talked about the Balance program and kind of introduced that. Is there anything that you would like to add in your role in the Balance program?
Sure, I'll just share a couple bits of information. So Greg talked a little bit about where Balance comes from and what the overarching mission is. But it practically consists of 10 steps, 10 lessons, which are available through the Hi Rasmus platform. And so we're shaping these skills that are important for our clients, our little guys and gals, to acquire to prevent the future development or worsening of problem behavior. And in terms of who this program is for, it really is a question, not so much of diagnosis and not even really so much of age, although we did have younger kids in mind when we were developing it. But it really is a question of what is the concern right now? And if the concern is that there's some uncooperative behavior, that there's some maybe disruptive but not really dangerous behavior, or we're just considering this learner to be at risk for future development of problem behavior, then those are learners for whom the Balance program is designed. So Balance is for our learners who are struggling, families struggling with some uncooperative behavior, maybe some disruptive behavior, or just early learners who may not have these skills of communication, of tolerance, of cooperation, and who may not be experiencing a lot of balance between parent and child-led activity in their lives. Balance is for those families. So the first few steps are your opportunity to show the family the value of the program. And the best way to do that from our perspective is to meet the family's individual needs early and often. And that is one thing that's just so great about the Hi Rasmus platform. It makes it easy to go in and edit the plan that's written in there. You can edit the plan, the rationale, the objectives, and then those custom instructions get shared with all team members. It's also easy to share videos and send notes and comments. And family engagement is really sustained when the professional is giving meaningful feedback.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. Now, Nikolai is going to show us what this platform or what the Balance program looks like on Hi Rasmus and how Hi Rasmus can really help engage and motivate parents even more to continue with the program.
Thank you, Rachel. So as you see right now, I'm logged in. This is the mobile view of what Hi Rasmus looks like for a parent logging in. So what they can do on Hi Rasmus and what might also help a bit in the relationship as well once you get started. So you can see we're on step 5 here. So we're already a bit down the line. But as parents, maybe I don't want to disturb the BCBA in case I have a bit of questions or anything like that. So we can just pull up the instructions directly on Hi Rasmus. We can see a little demo video. Showing the parent how to engage at this point, and have the purpose and the to-dos for the parents as well going on here. Hi Rasmus can be used either in person or it can be used as a complete telehealth platform. So each day they will just engage by recording their mood. How was things going today? Was it all smiles and happy, or did it not go so well? That just unloads some emotions for them, and And this is also fed to the BCBA, so the BCBA can see how things are going from day to day, and not just on a like weekly or bi-weekly basis or whatever it is. We can add some notes to the BCBA as well. So a really easy way of communicating these things without spending a lot of time with it, just making it really easy for them. The parents can attach a video. So if I was actually on a mobile device, it would just pull up my video camera immediately, and I could record this, and that would be encrypted and stored securely for the BCBA to watch afterwards. So in terms of engagement, what we're really doing is using kind of the same algorithm as Instagram and Facebook and so on are using. We're asking for a bit. We're asking for that daily engagement, recording how things were going, and then we're giving something back. We're getting small visual cues on the progress. And we're also getting feedback when each step is mastered. So you can see on step 4, we have that mastered already. We have that kind of success. So I'll just switch to the BCBA view and say I had, you can see here, I have my BCBA view logged in as a BCBA. I have Rasmus here as my client, and I have a bit more going on here. We also have the professional instructions and so on available right here. We also have the graphing, so we can see we have the baseline up here for all our criteria, and then phase change lines for step 1, step 2, and step 3, and so on, and moving forward. And we can see we've started introducing new targets that we're collecting data on for each of these steps. For our little sessions here, say we had, I could just go back and be the parent and just quickly record and say, oh, today was going really good. We had all smiles. I would save that, but that will immediately appear at the BCBA view over here. Switch back to the BCBA now, and you can see we had a really positive daily parent session. That's all good. But on this one down here on the daily parent session, for example, we can see there's a little video down here, and we could go in and supervise that session, do our data collection completely asynchronously. So we have all the data targets that that the balance program is for step 5 in this case, recording data on. So so in this case, I have this session going on. So Rasmus is playing iPad at this point. His RBT in this case is just being available, showing interest, but not being intrusive in any way. And that would be the same as balance at this point. And then we have our trial.
Here, Rasmus, you're the iPad now. Oh no, not now. Okay.
And there was
Okay.
actually a tolerance. That's all good. In that way, so we had a perfect trial this time, no emerging problem behavior or anything like that. At all, teaching integrity was good and so on. But because it's asynchronous, we can just skip a bit on and see when are things happening here. So next trial.
No, not now. Just go back. I put it here. Okay, stand up. Okay, come between. Okay, sit down.
And all good. And we could continue that way throughout the session. So basically we could supervise and do the data collection in a very, very short time. And we could feedback some notes for the parents as well, and save that, and that will all be graphed immediately.
Nikolai, the responsivity of Hi Rasmus groups to the needs of the people using this platform is just amazing. The speed with which you're making these changes and improvements, from the data centers to the ability to do synchronous, and the way you've changed the graph so we see the chaining and everything, it looks tremendous. And I just really admire the way you guys are so nimble and so committed to making this work for professionals and families. It's awesome.
With that, we'll close. Thank you so much for coming, and have a wonderful weekend.